Oh, hello. Today we're going to be doing our kill team rundown of the Chaos Cult kill team. Here we go. I said here we go. Change the slide. There we go. So the Chaos Cult kill team has Infiltration and Seek and Destroy. Honestly, these are kind of rubbish archetypes to have. I think Infiltration is probably the better pick for the Chaos Cult, and we'll discuss that more later when we talk about specifically what Tac Ops I think you probably want to take. In terms of team selection, this is a really easy one. It's 14 fixed models. So you're going to have your Cult Demagogue, your 2 Blessed Blades, 9 Chaos Devotees, 1 Iconarch, and 1 Mindwitch, for a total of 14 angry young men. Yeah, you will need more than 40 miniatures to play this team though, so I hope you've got a big figure case, okay? Because this is going to be, in terms of the number of miniatures you have to bring to your game, this is going to be your biggest kill team going. So, faction rule: mutation. Through arcane ritual, the most devoted among the Chaos Cult have profane symbols carved into their flesh or tattooed onto their skin. Should the correct words of invocation be uttered, these icons appear to draw empiric power, mutating the form of the devotee. This doesn't satisfy the dark cravings and power lust of some. Deprived prayers are written upon flayed skin and nailed into tormented flesh, and demons are summoned and bound into mortal bodies. So, during the battle, friendly Chaos Cult operatives can mutate as follows. As a strategic gambit, you can mutate a number of friendly Chaos Cult operatives based on the turning point as follows. Turning point 1, you can do 2. Turning point 2, you can do 2. Turning point 3, you can do 3. Turning point 4, you can do 4. Whenever a friendly devotee operative incapacitates an enemy operative within its control range, it can mutate. Each operative can't mutate more than once per turning point. Whenever a friendly operative mutates, select one of the following. If it's a devotee, turn it into a mutant. If it's a mutant, turn it into a torment. You can have a max of 2 torments per turning point, and then you can regain up to D3 plus 1 lost wounds. You can't have more than 5 mutant operatives and 3 torment operatives at once. Whenever a friendly operative turns into a new operative, swap the miniatures, ensuring the centre of the new miniature's base is as close as possible where the centre of the old miniature's base was. Then this can put it in control range of enemy operatives, and if the old miniature was, the new miniature must be if possible. The new miniature loses a number of wounds equal to the lost wounds of its preceding operative type, and it's still the same operative for any rules it's already been selected for. The operative is simply a new operative type, and uses the new type's miniature and data card rules, so you can evolve like a Pokemon. Some of your best data sheets you can't use at the start, you have to get there over time. Generally, the main way you're going to be mutating is just doing 2 on turning point 1, and then 2 on turning point 2, 3 on turning point 3, and then 4 on turning point 4. The devotee mutating independently by wounding somebody in close combat will be nice if it happens, but is pretty unlikely to actually happen. So often your game plan, I suppose, is going to be to mutate you 2 in turning point 1, and then try and have them survive in the middle tier of mutant until turning point 2, and then instantly evolve both of those mutants into torments in turning point 2. Then in turning point 3, you get yourself 3 mutants, and then in turning point 4, evolve the remaining mutant into a torment, and then have as many extra mutants and things as you can. But of course, things will have probably died over the course of the game. Yeah, it's fine. It's interesting. It doesn't actually excite me because it's not really a it's not like once you get all these mutants and torments, your team becomes overpowered. It just kind of is a delay on you getting powered up, in my view. You've got accursed gifts. Accursed followers of chaos are blessed by the gods with a horrifying array of mutations. Cairo wings, rigid horns, wicked claws, and dexterous tentacles. All of these diabolical gifts are used to devastating effect. So, accursed gifts are rules that friendly Chaos Cult operatives gain when they turn into another operative type, as we've just talked about. The first time friendly Devotee operative turns into a mutant operative during the battle, select your primary accursed gift. The first time a friendly mutant operative turns into a Torment operative during the battle, select your secondary accursed gift. All friendly mutant operatives have your primary accursed gift, and all friendly Torment operatives have your primary and secondary accursed gifts. You can't select the same accursed gift more than once for battle, so you got 6 accursed gifts, and all your mutants are going to get one, and all your big mutants are going to get that one and a second one. Let's read them all, okay? Deformed wings. Tattered leathery wings burst from heaving folds of flesh. These infernal mutations allow their wretched bearer to ascend and drop into the fray with terrifying agility. Whenever this operative is climbing up, you can treat the vertical distance as 2 inches, regardless of how far the operative actually moves vertically. Whenever the operative is dropping, ignore the vertical distance. So, on certain maps, I think this is going to be a must-take, right? As long as you're not playing on Into the Dark. If you're playing on Volcus, or if you're playing on Beta Decima, this seems like something you're definitely going to want. Maybe that's just me. Number 2, Fleet. Muscular, misshapen limbs, undulating tentacles, and slime-slick extrusions propel mutant cultists across the battlefield with a speed that is as shocking as it is horrific. Plus 1 inch to your move stat, so maybe you take this on Into the Dark. An extra inch of movement's really good. I think Deformed Wings is better, and I think there's another one later on that I think you're always going to want to take, but this is fine. Number 3, chitinous. Chitinous? Chitinous? Chitinous. Hardened plates formed of chitinous demonic material erupt from angry swollen flesh, lending the accursed unholy resilience and turning Lasbolt's bullets and blades aside. Improve the operative save stat by 1. It's not bad. You generally get a 5-up save though, so it's a 5 to 4, which doesn't feel like it's that impactful. The one I really like is Horned. Pairs of sharp, curved horns protrude from the foreheads of some of the mutant cultists, used to charge, gore, and impale their victims. Whenever this operative ends its move during the charge action, you may inflict 1 damage on one enemy operative within control range, or D3 damage if this operative is a Torment. So my go-to is probably, I would say, your first gift everybody has is Deformed Wings, or if you're playing on Into the Dark, maybe you go for Fleet. And the second one that applies only to the Torments might be Horned, because that D3 damage on the charge is really going to help the Torment to do stuff. But we're not done yet, we got Sinewed. Within this cultist's twisted form, hardened sinews and tendons bind muscle, lending monstrous strength to each and every strike they make. You can ignore any changes to the hit stat of this operative's melee weapons from being injured. The operative's melee weapons have the brutal weapon rule. Brutal's not bad. Spoilers for the next slide. You do have a strap ploy, which will let you ignore injured for a turn for the whole team anyway, so that part's not that exciting. Yeah, brutal's good. And number 6, Barbed. This cultist's body and weapons are coated with sharp barbs that bite into those nearby, ripping flesh and spilling blood. Whenever this operative is fighting or retaliating, enemy operatives can't assist. Each time you strike, also inflict 1 damage on each other enemy operative within this operative's control range, or D3 damage if this operative is a Torment. I guess you could consider this depending on the matchup. If you're going to someone like Vetguard, I can see this being really good, possibly better than Horned, but in general I prefer Horned. Strategy Ploys. Exaltation in pain. Spurred on by their fervour, cultists embrace the exquisite agony of wounds upon their mutant flesh with maniacal delight. You can ignore any changes to the stats of friendly Chaos Cult operatives from being injured. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Chaos Cult operative that's wounded, you can reroll one of your defense dice. Well, this is a brilliant ploy, isn't it? Because you can ignore injured and you can reroll a defense dice. Like, you're just going to turn this on every single turn. Perhaps not in turning point 1 when you're unlikely to have any injured guys, but you're going to have this on turning point 2 onwards, I would say, in every single game because it's really, really good. And you've got a very squashy team otherwise, so that added bonus of being able to reroll a defense dice does seem pretty good. Fervent Onslaught. The lost and the damned fight with a zealous desperation to earn the fickle favour of their uncaring patrons. Friendly Chaos Cult operatives' melee weapons have the accurate 1-weapon rule or the accurate 2-weapon rule if the friendly operative is a mutant or torment. Again, this is really good because you're hitting on 4s by and large, right? You're not the strongest or best warriors in the game, so getting those automatic hits is pretty good. Creatures of Nightmare. The twisted and unnatural forms of those accursed monstrosities inspire abject terror. Whenever determining control of a marker, treat the ABL stat of enemy operatives that can contest it as 1 lower. If at least one of those enemy operatives is within 2 of a friendly Chaos Cult Mutant or Chaos Cult Torment. Note this isn't a change to the APL stat, so any changes are cumulative with this. This one's fine. I think it's a little bit awkward though. It's a strategy ploy, so you have to foresee that you're going to want to use it. And then, yeah, if this was a tactical ploy, yeah, it will probably be better because then you can be like, oh, this is going to help me here. I'll turn it on. So there is that little bit of foresight required for that one, but it is still a powerful ability, and as with anything that meddles with the control of points, it could win you games. Sickening Aura. Sickening corruption flows from the hideous form of mutant and torment, eroding the sanity and strength of those who gaze upon them. Whenever an enemy operative is within 2 inches of friendly Chaos Cult Mutant or Chaos Cult Torment operatives, worsen the hit stat of that enemy operative's weapons by 1. This isn't cumulative with being injured. Really great ability, this kind of Plague Marine type ability where you've got this aura of worsening the hit stat is really, really good. I think this is something that you want to have open from turning point 2 onwards as well. So between Sickening Aura, Exaltation in Pain, and Fervent Onslaught, like those feel like they're going to want to be active. Turning point 2, turning point 3, turning point 4. That's going to really knock back the amount of CP you have available for other things. I don't see anything here that's particularly wonderful turning point 1, so I don't know how often you're going to use the scouting option to get a free strategic ploy, but those do seem good, like I say, from turning point 2 onwards. Firefight ploys. So we got Faithful Follower. The teeming masses of a chaos cult will gladly sacrifice their own wretched lives to preserve their unholy superiors. Now this has got some word salad to it, hasn't it? Use this firefight ploy when a friendly chaos cult dark commune operative is, and that dark commune operatives, by the way, just so we're aware, we're talking about the Demagogue, the Iconarch, the Mindwitch, and I think maybe the Blessed Blades as well. Is selected as a valid target of a shoot action or fight action. As the valid target of a shoot action or to fight against during the fight action. Select one other friendly Chaos Cult operative, excluding Dark Commune, visible to within 3 of that Dark Commune operative, to become the valid target or to be fought against as appropriate instead, even if it wouldn't normally be valid for this. If it's a fight action, treat that other operative as being within the fighting operative's control range for the duration of that action. If it's the shoot action, the other operative was only in cover or obscured if the original target was. This ploy has no effect if it's a shoot action, and the ranged weapon has the blast or torrent weapon rule. Like, this rule just seems to grow over time. It's expressing a very simple idea. If someone's shy shooting or fighting, or if you're not commune units, you can spend a CP and go surprise. You're now shooting and fighting him. It's a shame that we live in the world we live in and they had to write a paragraph of text, but it's actually quite a simple idea. Those kind of rules that have been dubbed "get down, Mr. President" by people that aren't me, but I'll use the verbiage so that I'm understood, are really useful in Kill Team, and especially they're going to be useful here as we have a few powerful operatives, and then a lot more kind of more disposable operatives for sure. Abhorrent Mutation. In the midst of battle, when violence and emotion run rampant, the ruinous powers bestow upon their underlings their accursed gifts. Use this FireFight ploy when a friendly Chaos Cult operative excluding .commune is activated. Select an accursed gift for that operative to gain. This is in addition to any accursed gifts it already has. Each friendly operative cannot be selected for this ploy more than once per battle, and if that operative turns into a different one by mutating, it still has that accursed gift. This is fine. You're giving permanent buffs to your miniatures, so I should be hotter on this than I am. But I just don't think that the accursed gifts are that good. And I think you're going to spend a lot of your CP on your frankly excellent strategic ploys. Of course, there could be situations where, like, just that 1 inch extra move would clinch it, or just that 1 extra damage would clinch it. And of course, in those situations where you can see exactly where right now spending the CP to get that bonus is going to make the difference, you would spend the CP. Then, of course, it might be a big ask to actually keep all of those different accursed gifts in mind whilst you're actually playing the game, because it is 6 more things that you have to remember that you hypothetically have access to at any time during the game. Now, Frenzied Demise. Even in their death throes, the devotees of the dark gods seek to inflict agony and destruction. Use this FireFight ploy when a friendly Chaos Cult Mutant or Chaos Cult Torment operative is incapacitated. Before it's removed from the kill zone, inflict D3 damage, or D6 damage instead, if that friendly operative is a Torment, on one enemy operative visible to within 2 of the friendly operatives. So, it's a post-mortem explode. There are a lot of these abilities around. My take is generally always the same. This is a nice thing to have. There will be lots of games where this never comes up, okay? But every now and again, this will really make the difference. You'll lose a combat and you'll leave someone alive on 1 or 2. You'll spend the CP, take the punt and remove an operative, which is always lovely when it happens. So it's just a case of remembering it's there and using it when it's relevant to do so. And finally, we have Unleash the Demon. Amidst escalating violence, the veil of reality is torn asunder and the influence of the demonic strengthens. Use this FireFight ploy during a friendly Chaos Cult Mutant or Chaos Cult Torment operative's activation. During that activation, the operative can perform 2 fight actions and 1 of them can be free. Fight twice, hell yeah. I mean, fight twice is always nice to have. You get to understand when you need it, when you want it, when it's worth spending for it, and then you pay it and you do it, and that's great. Right, let's get into the Cult Demagogue. 2 APL, a 6 inch move, a 5 up save, and 8 wounds. Not the most impressive stat line, and he's the leader. He has a Diabolical Stave, which is 4 dice hit on 4s, 3/6 range 2 stun. Okay. And he can also has a pistol, which is 4 dice hit on 4s, 2/3 damage range 8. So, 6 criticals, quite nice, I guess. And then he can use his Diabolical Stave in melee, where it's the same profile as well. So, yeah, fine, I guess. Could potentially do some nice damage. It's not a lot to write home about, really, is it? And then his real thing he has is his actions. So for 1 AP, he can incite slaughter. One other friendly Chaos Cult operative visible to him within 9 of this operative can immediately perform a free fight action. You can't perform this action when you're in control range of an enemy operative. Or you can incite urgency for 1 AP. One other friendly Chaos Cult operative visible to him within 9 of this operative can immediately perform a free charge or dash. But for the former, it can't move more than 3. It's fine. Handing out fights, if you've got some of your big 3rd evolution mutants or your Blessed Blades on the table, it's not awful. But he doesn't excite me. He's not very good by himself, and his buffs they're pretty good, solid. It's like a comms almost, but it's not quite, because it's like an out of activation action, which is in some ways better. Yeah. I'm going to be making that noise a lot going through this team, I have to tell you. Blessed Blade, so the same kind of vaguely unimpressive stat line. 8 wounds, APL 2, 6-inch save, 5 up save, 6-inch move. And we got a Commune Blade, so 4 dice hitting on 4s, 4-6, lethal 5 up. I do like that lethal 5 up, and you get 2 of these fellas, which is nice. Cut them down. Whenever an enemy operative performs a fallback action while within control range of this operative, you can use this rule. If you do, inflict D3+1 damage on the enemy operative before it moves. If the enemy operative is within control range of 2 of these operatives, you inflict 2d3+2 damage instead. But of course, you're not going to try and gotcha your opponent, so it just means they're not falling back from you, which, it's fine, isn't it? Yeah, pretty. But trouble is, you've only got 8 wounds, so I don't know. It's a tough one. Attuning purpose. Whenever this operative is activated, you can activate another friendly Blessed Blade operative within 6 of it at the same time. Complete their activation in any order. So that's what's nice, is you can activate both your Blessed Blades, you can charge them both in, and then you can fight them one after the other. And so both Blessed Blades can gain the +1 for having another friend helping out as well, and then they probably will kill something doing that. And if they're going after something really chunky and they don't kill it, at least then it can't fall back and shoot you in the face without taking 2d3+2, which is not a laughing matter. Like, they're pretty cool. Somehow they don't excite me, but they're probably the most exciting part of the team. Yeah. Iconarch. So again, a same unimpressive stat line. The Burning Sensor. 4 attacks hitting on 2, 4/4 damage. Range 5, Saturate Torrent 2. Not awful. Not the best. A pistol. Hits on 4s, 4 dice, 2/3, range 8. Pretty awful. And then a crude melee. I mean, just from the name, crude melee weapon. Not expecting your sort of guarantee of quality here, are we? 3 dice hitting on 4s, 2/3 damage. And then you got the Icon Bearer rule, so when you're controlling a marker, treat the operative's APL stat as 1 higher. It isn't a change for APL, so changes are cumulative, which is fine. And then the main thing you're taking him for, I'm taking him because you have to take him, because you've got no choices. Ruinous Icon, Psychic Action, 1 AP. Select one of the following effects to last until the start of this operative's activation, until it's incapacitated, or until it performs the action again, whichever comes first. So, Invigoration, Psychic Action. Whenever a friendly Chaos Cult operative is within 4 of this operative, normal and critical damage of 4 or more inflicts 1 less damage on this operative. Deterioration. Whenever an enemy operative is within 4 of this operative, normal and critical damage inflicts 1 more damage on that operative. The damage buff, I think, is pretty cool. It's what this guy really does. You can kind of buff your guys up and get a bit more damage. It's nice. It's nice. It's just a nice damage buff on a fairly unimpressive chassis, isn't it? The Mindwitch. Same stat line. So we got Infernal Gaze, which is weird. So you're rolling 5 dice, hitting on 3s. Don't do any damage. Range 6, Devastating 2, Lethal 3 up. So to unpack that, you're rolling 5 dice. You're critting on 3s. So you hope to roll 5. On a good day, you'll hit with 4 of them, which is pretty cool. And then you can do 8 damage, which is 8 damage that they... So if you're fighting against somebody with 8 wounds, this is pretty good, right? Because you just go bang, 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 take it off. And they don't get to worry about rolling defense dice, which is pretty good. Yeah. But you do have to be within 6 to do that. So it's a pretty neat trick, but it's probably only going to happen once. In combat, you have fists, which... I mean, if crude melee weapon was a red flag, this is like a infrared flag, right? 3 dice hit on 5s, 1-2 damage. That's cool. So being in combat with your Mindwitch is basically a failure state. Then you've got Heinous Deluge for 1 AP, a psychic action. Select an enemy operative as a valid target with this operative. Until the end of that operative's activation, subtract 1 from its APL stat. Can't perform this while in control range of enemy operative. Yeah, -1 APL is nice to have, that's fine. And then Malefic Vortex for 1 AP, Psychic. Remove your Malefic Vortex marker from the kill zone, if any. Then place your Malefic Vortex marker visible to this operative or on vantage terrain of a terrain feature visible to the operative. Inflict 1 damage on each enemy operative within 2 of the marker, and then in the ready step of each strategy phase, inflict 1 damage to each enemy operative within 2 of that marker. I think... The nice thing is this is only happening on enemy operatives. So, like, maximum lazy, you're just going to slap it down on the central point and get some bonus chip damage against your opponent. Obviously, if you're playing against another team that's like a bunch of guys with 7 or 8 wounds, this is quite good because you're going to get a bunch of wounds on a bunch of different models. Whereas if you're playing against Marines or something similar, they're going to care a lot less that they're taking this random chip damage. But it's reasonable, and if you cast it in a decent place, you only have to cast it once, and then you don't have to worry about moving it. And it's anywhere visible as well, so you can shove it out right at the start of the game. Even while you yourself remain on conceal, that's pretty good. The Chaos Devotee, so you get 9 of these devotees. It has the terrible human stat line you were expecting, right? 2 APL, 6 remove, 5 up save, and 7 wounds. It has a terrible pistol and a terrible crude melee weapon, and is basically terrible. It has group activation, so you activate them in pairs, which is fine. Yeah. But they can evolve into other things, which is neat. What do you want me to say? It's probably the worst operative in Kill Team by the numbers, right? It's fine. Chaos Mutant. So this is the middle. This is your Charmander. Nobody likes Charmander, but this is your Charmander of to use the Pokemon analogy. Stat line is the same, which is a choice, right? Bearing in mind you get to heal a bit, but you don't get to fully heal. Now you've got Blasphemous Appendages, so 4 dice, hitting on 4s, 3/4 Stasis and Rending is not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. A Cursed Mutant, the operative can't perform unique actions. You must spend an additional AP for this operative to do pick-up, marker action, mission actions, excluding Operate Hatch, which is... because they really needed a downside. Like, the downside is that you have to wait to get your mutants to come online, right? They're not that good. I'm not convinced they needed a downside as well. Like, what would other people that make Kill Team content would say? It's very balanced. I'm going to say it's not very good. Because whenever someone is described in this game as being very balanced, that means it's not very good. It's poor. It's frustrating and poor, and you're going to lose games. And it has unnatural regeneration, which is nice. Whenever an attack dice inflicts damage of 3 or more on this operative, roll d6 on a 5 up, subtract 1 from the damage. So, yes, you only have 7 wounds, but this is going to give you a couple of extra wounds effectively, which is not bad. It's not bad. Like, the Chaos Mutant's not bad. think they're pretty cool, but they seem good enough considering the rigmarole of, well, you can get 2 in turning point 1 by upgrading your dudes, and then if one of your dudes kills a dude, they can turn into 1, and then you can upgrade them again, which is better, but then you don't have more mutants, and then you still have all these devotees running around. It's a lot of faff to get something which is merely fine. Then the final form, the Charizard of the Chaos Cultist evolution line, if you will, is this Chaos Torment. And yes, admittedly, now we're cooking with gas. We have 13 wounds, although your wounds have been chipped down while you're on the way up to being a Torment, right? You are now rolling 5 dice, hitting on 4, 4, 5 with Cetus and Rending, which is pretty good. The same rubbish about not being able to pick up markers. No, it's not even the same rubbish. You just can't. You can't, like the other fella could do mission actions for +1. This guy just can't do them, but you can operate hatches. They've decided that's good. Whenever your opponent is setting a valid target, if this option has a conceal order, it can't use light terrain for cover. So blah blah blah. It's the standard thing, standard kind of big guy problems. Okay, and then unnatural regeneration again. The same as on the mutant. Like, these guys are good, and they will do some damage, and you've got those other mutations, so you can be doing D3 on the charge, which is pretty good, but, like, you haven't got any on the table until turning point 2. It's just irritating, right? Yeah. Equipment, we'll look at the equipment. So, baleful script. These infernal scrawlings inscribed upon pages wrought from human flesh may bestow malefic gifts upon the reader when recited in the dark tongue. Not a dark tongue, the dark tongue, the definite article, okay. Once per battle, strategic gambits, change one of your accursed gifts. If it's an accursed gift an operative has from an abhorrent mutation, ploy only the operative benefits from this. Meh? Like, maximum meh. I don't really rate the accursed gifts that hard, and the ability to change, not add an additional, to change my accursed gifts just doesn't do it for me. This is not something I'm going to be taking. Covert guises. The most insidious of chaos cults are masters of infiltration, disguise, and betrayal. After revealing this equipment's option, roll 1d3 as a strategic gambit. In the first turning point, a number of friendly chaos cult devotee operatives equal to the result that are wholly within your drop zone can immediately perform a free reposition, but must end that move wholly within 3 of your drop zone. Yeah, I actually really like this. I've used this when I was playing Brood Brothers, who have a similar piece of equipment, and I so often that you roll a 1. I get 1. It's so depressing when you get that 1, right? But if you get 2 or 3, it feels really powerful. And of course, the ones that you move up could be the ones that you choose to mutate, right? So then you've got some somewhat decent dudes further up the table, which is nice. Unholy Talisman. Whether held aloft on ragged banners, carved into puckered flesh, or hanging from spiked chains, these cultists display talismans in the belief that the dark gods will look favourably upon them. Once per turning point, when an operative is shooting a friendly Chaos Cult operative, in the roll defense dice step, you can retain one of your normal successes as a critical success instead. Yeah, I mean, it's once per turning point, and it's a normal into a crit. It's going to come in. It's going to be useful, it's going to save you, it's going to keep you alive. I think you take it every game, and you try not to forget that you have it, which is my usual trick with this and similar pieces of equipment. And then finally got Vile Blessing. Though hideous, disturbing, and often painful, the dark gods' gifts of mutation bestow upon their recipients incredible resilience. Once per battle, when an attack dice inflicts normal damage on a friendly Chaos Cult operative, excluding devotees, you could ignore that inflicted damage. If a friendly operative is mutant or a torment operative, you cannot roll for a natural regeneration due to the attack dice that decide to use this rule on the same dice. You must use one or the other. Excuse me. So it's just a scratch, but it's like once per game, just a scratch. So it's like, well, again, other people would probably describe this as very balanced. It's not very good. It's like, it's going to give you this really good ability, but it's playing so safe with it that it's like, okay, cool, once per game. What wonderful. So yeah, I'm going to take Covert Geysers and Unholy Talisman every game, and beyond that, Vile Blessing maybe. I'm going to definitely be considering Offensive Grenades just to try and give my team a bit more punch, right? Tac Ops, they're not very killy, so you don't want to Seek and Destroy. They don't like doing mission actions, so I guess we're taking Implant by process of elimination. Now, Implant's not a popular choice because you have to give up an attack to score your VP, but you've got so many guys running around with some weak source pistols or improvised melee whatevers or fists that actually, yeah, I think you could probably do Implant. I think Implant's probably the go-to when it comes to these guys. Yeah. Buying them is hilarious. They don't have a kill team box. They are made up of 3 boxes for Warhammer 40,000. Warhammer 40,000 is suffering with inflation. You have to spend nearly £100. Obviously, go to Element Games, link in the description, save a decent percentage of that, right? Please do that if you wanted to start Chaos Cult. But paying for them at retail price is kind of a bit of a wince. If you weren't lucky enough to get these when they first came out in a heavily discounted box as a Kill Team product, which was a very limited release actually, then yeah, I'm sorry. This is the price that you're going to have to pay, and you need all 3 of these to play the team. I mean, you're only going to use 9 of your Chaos Cultists, not 10, and so on. But yeah, you need to spend this much money. Very sorry. Final thoughts. As you can probably tell from my tone all through the video, it's a big meh from me. These are a classic example of something I've talked about before. It's a Rube Goldberg machine team where you're getting very focused in on the internal synergies of the team and trying to do your mutations in the right place and make sure you've got your various like buffs from like the Iconarch and you've got your Ploys coming in at the right time. So there's a lot of things to like think about and make sure that you're doing. And then just like a really it's common with Rube Goldberg machines, the actual result when you line all your ducks up in a row and you get everything working perfectly is it does something that other teams could just do by like walking forwards and rolling some dice. So your reward is, it's all right, you've done everything perfectly, so now it's not awful, right? So therefore, given the very real life price of the miniatures as well that you need, really hard for me to recommend this team at all to anybody. Like, if you love the lore of Chaos Cultists, I would say hang fire. As I'm recording this today, like, we don't know the rules yet for the new Chaos team coming in Blood and Zeal, but like that's probably going to be your go-to over and above these guys, I would say, for that kind of aesthetic and that kind of I know that's Khorne specifically, and maybe you like these because they can be undivided, but they just don't do it from me. So that being said, if you've had great success with them in this edition, I know that they were very good in previous editions of Kill Team, but if you've had success with them in this edition of the game, please do let me know in the comments. Tell me why I'm wrong. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. You know, I've never actually played them. I don't own them, so I'm not a total authority. This is my reactions, reading through the cards, and filtering them through my sort of experiences of having been playing Kill Team from the start, from Octarius, but in a fairly mediocre way. I just can't see them. I can't see it, right? And just in general, please do subscribe, comment, like, etc. Consider joining the Discord. I want to say a big thank you to all my members, the members that have stuck with me right away from the start. The channel is suffering a little bit because I'm not making the videos that the silent majority of people that want to watch videos want to see. I'm making the videos that make me happy, and that's absolutely fine. So it means even so much more to me that there are people who are still now like, yeah, he's making different videos and doing different things, and some videos are a bit experimental. Like the battle report video I uploaded this week was pretty experimental and things like that, and it's like people are still just sitting there and plugging away with their monthly donations. That's truly amazing and truly inspiring. So a big thank you to all of you as well. All right, guys, thanks. This has been it. This is the last Chaos kill team. So now we're just down to the least interesting. I'm just trying to trigger various people. The Xenos teams. I'm not a Xenos guy. Some people out there are real like card carrying Xenos fans, but I've never been one, so we leave them till last. But that's what's next to come. So look forward to that if you're a Xenos person, and I'll see you again next time. Cheery bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.